Welcome. Today, we're diving into something huge. We're talking about one of the biggest economic opportunities on the entire planet, a multi-trillion-dollar key that could literally transform the lives of billions.
So here's the big question, right? How do you unlock trillions of dollars in economic growth for the whole planet? It's this massive, daunting question, but the answer, well, it's actually surprisingly close to home. The solution isn't about building brand new empires. It's about digitally connecting the one we already have.
And this is the fundamental barrier we're up against. For about 2 billion people and 200 million businesses, the global economy is just out of reach. Think about that. A staggering portion of the world's population is completely locked out of the formal financial system. And this lack of access to even basic things like savings and credit, it creates this massive, massive drag on our global potential.
But what if we could unlock it? Well, research from the McKinsey Global Institute actually put a number on this opportunity. And frankly, the number is breathtaking. Widespread adoption of digital finance could boost the GDP of emerging economies by $3.7 trillion by 2025. Now, to put that into perspective for you, that's like adding the entire economy of Germany to the developing world. Just wow.
Okay, so a number that big, 3.7 trillion, it can be hard to wrap your head around, right? What does it actually mean in the real world? Let's break down the tangible impacts behind that massive figure. The impact is it's profound. We're talking about bringing 1.6 billion new people into the financial system, and more than half of them are women. It means injecting over $2 trillion in new credit for individuals and small businesses. It could create up to 95 million new jobs across every single sector. And on top of all that, it would save governments over $100 billion a year just by reducing leakage and inefficiency. This isn't just a little ripple effect. This is a tidal wave of economic change.
So, how do we actually make this happen? Well, the first pillar is digital finance itself. And the engine for it? It's something that most people already have right in their pocket. And this is the real game changer. Back in 2014, check this out. Nearly 80% of adults in emerging economies had a mobile phone, but only 55% had a financial account. See that gap? That's the opportunity. By using the mobile network that's already there, financial services can be delivered at an astonishing 80 to 90% lower cost. This allows providers to profitably serve millions of lower-income customers for the very first time.
Now, what's really interesting here is where that growth actually comes from. Take a look at this. The biggest slice of the pie, nearly 2/3 of that 3.7 trillion, comes from huge gains in productivity. I mean, think about it. When businesses and governments switch from cash and piles of paper to digital payments and records, they just become dramatically more efficient. The rest comes from more investment and a smaller boost from individuals just saving time. But look, for any of this to work, for people to trust digital money and services, you need a system of trust. And that brings us to our second really important pillar, digital identity. You can think of it as the foundational layer that makes all of these secure digital transactions even possible. And this is where we see a fascinating paradox, which Forbes pointed out. You might think that developed countries would be leading the way here, right? But their old, entrenched bureaucracies and legacy systems can actually slow them down. Meanwhile, developing nations, who are often more agile and flexible, can just leapfrog all those older systems and build modern digital ID infrastructure from the ground up. And they can do it much, much faster. So the crucial point here is that a secure digital ID isn't just about convenience, making things a little easier. It's a catalyst for the entire economy. It minimizes the risk of identity theft, it enables quicker verification for all kinds of services, and it unlocks greater access to goods, services, and government resources. Ultimately, it boosts GDP and economic mobility for everybody. Okay, so picture this. Once you have the rails of digital finance and the trust of digital identity in place, well, that's when an entirely new frontier opens up. We're talking about the ability to work from anywhere, for anyone. This is the world of virtual labor, or as some call it, telemigration, and it's already reshaping the global workforce as we speak. So what is telemigration? Simply put, it's remote work, but on a global scale. It's the ability to work for a company in another country without ever leaving your home. So think of a graphic designer in Nigeria working for a startup in Berlin, or a software developer in Brazil contributing to a massive project in Silicon Valley. It's really the next evolution of remote work, and it's starting to erase economic borders. Yeah, this quote from the National Institutes of Health just captures the idea perfectly. It says a person crosses only virtual borders of states and, without leaving the country of residence, actually works outside it. You're not crossing physical borders, you're crossing virtual ones. It allows talent in one country to connect with opportunities in another, creating this truly globalized digital labor market.
All right, the potential is crystal clear, and we've defined the main pillars. But how do we actually build this digital future? Let's take a look at the blueprint for turning all of this potential into a reality. According to McKinsey, it really comes down to three essential building blocks. First, you need the physical infrastructure. You've got to have widespread, accessible mobile and digital networks. That's step one. Step two, you need the right environment. This means creating a business and regulatory landscape that actually encourages innovation and competition. And third, you need collaboration. You have to foster these public-private partnerships to build digital products that meet people's real-world needs. And if you want to see what's possible when you do this right, you just have to look at Estonia. After gaining its independence, the country went all in on digitalization. Their Tiger Leap project back in the 90s put almost all their schools online and laid the groundwork. And the result? It's stunning. Their GDP per capita skyrocketed from just over $3,000 to over $32,000. It's just a powerful, powerful testament to the long-term impact of this strategy. And you know what? This isn't a strategy that's just reserved for larger countries. As the UN Development Program highlights, small nations, like what they call small island digital states, can actually use their agility to their advantage. With less bureaucracy and more cohesion, they can become these nimble test beds for innovation, creating whole-of-society digital models that the rest of the world can learn from. And I really love this quote from the UNDP administrator because it frames this whole transformation perfectly. It's not just about GDP growth, right? He says it's about helping navigate our global community to a greener, more inclusive, and more sustainable future for all. It's about building something better for everyone by harnessing the power of digital connection. So, look, the potential is clear. The technology is here. The economic case is undeniable. And the ability to uplift billions of people is finally within our reach. So the final question really isn't if this will happen, but who? Who will have the vision and the will to build this inclusive digital economy of tomorrow?